Welcome. I'm Evelyn Rudy.
And I'm your guest co-host, Blake Bradford.
And this is Santa Monica On Stage, where we talk about the people and venues that make the city of Santa Monica the cultural destination for the performing arts.
Well, Evelyn, we've got quite a show lined up today, right? We're starting with the Edgemar Center for the Arts, and we'll feature their hit play, Train to Zakopane.
And then, Blake, we're hopping back a few centuries to talk with a company that features some unknown writer named William Shakespeare?
Yeah, with a name like that, he never stood a chance. We'll see what Colonials and American Shakespeare Company has to say about that.
That's today on Santa Monica On Stage. Edgemar Center for the Arts has become a staple of Santa Monica over the last decade. We're thrilled to be joined by our old pal and publicist, Phil Sokoloff, as well as the star of their hit play, Train to Zakopane, Tana Frederick. Hello, Phil. Hello, Tana.
Hello.
Welcome to Santa Monica On Stage, a show that was not only crafted and created by Phil, but even the title is Phil's title.
Yes.
That's right.
In praise of Phil, we are.
Praise of
In
Phil.
praise of
Thank you.
And well-deserved praise.
Yeah.
Thank
What
you.
a wonderful and much needed idea to have a show that specifically focuses on Santa Monica arts organizations.
So thank you. All right, enough about Phil. All right, that's it. No more.
No, I want to put in my 2 cents here too.
Yes,
I wanna
please.
say I've been doing shows at the
Yeah.
Edgemar and with Phil for a long time, and this man has given LA theater like some nice zhuzh. Like zhuzh.
I like
It's given
this.
LA's theater respect.
I
And
think
he's
we
brought
found your pull
respect.
quote.
Yeah.
That's your pull quote out of this. Yes, Phil.
Phil's got zhuzh. I'm
got
making a
zhuzh.
t-shirt out of it.
So, all right, let's get to Train to Zakopane. Tell me a little bit, how did this come about? What's the story? A little bit of the synopsis for us.
Well, Henry Jaglom wrote the play.
And who is he?
He's my husband.
Whoa!
And I had, he has a vast array of stories, all of them very interesting. But one of them, he's never actually written about his family. And there's one story in particular that I was kind of shocked that he said, I'm going to do this as a next play. And when Henry gets an idea, he's a quick writer. And his especially with his plays, he just gets it out in 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so his father had told them this story about his father meeting an anti-Semitic nurse in Warsaw in 1928 in Poland, when it was very anti-Semitic then, post-World War I. And there were train cars, and there was this, at that time, his father could pass as a non-Jew. He had very expensive clothing and luggage and so on and so forth, and so he got invited in to join this train compartment and the company, one of which was an anti-Semitic Polish nurse. I mean, everybody in the car was pretty much anti-Semitic, as that was kind of the spirit of the times.
Now wait, now in the play version, this is you, right?
Yes,
This is
me.
you,
This is the
okay.
part I'm playing.
Oh, wow.
So his father said yes to coming to the compartment because it was so packed. When they started throwing out the slanderous Jewish comments, he kept his mouth shut just to make the ride easier. And it was, like I said, it was kind of the times. And so he wanted to stay in the compartment, so he just kept his mouth shut and sort of passed as being Catholic or what have you. And then the nurse, the remarks got worse and worse and worse until the nurse said, played by me, I can smell a Jew a kilometer away.
Wow.
And so his father decided that he was going to kiss the girl, a little euphemism, kiss the girl, and then tell her he was Jewish. And so he hadn't told Henry many stories throughout his life. This story, whenever his mother came by, he would talked to Henry about it in hushed tones and always said, this is what I'm most ashamed of in life. And this is I've never done. His father had hubris coming out of his ears. I mean, he was never apologetic, never.
Right.
But this was the one story he was ashamed of and never talked about. And so Henry turned this into a play, and it's been an amazing journey.
And this is the world premiere of it right now, right?
Yes.
Wow.
And been extended and extended again.
I know.
Extended
Congratulations.
Extended like
wonderful.
a long
Hey,
train
that's
ride.
great.
And of
Yeah.
Like a long train ride. So, can I just ask, what's it like? You're playing a very dark character. You've been doing this for several months. Does that sort of start creeping in? How do you deal with that?
I really have to say, when I first started rehearsing, when I did the read through with Henry and the material, I was just sick. I said, I hate this part. I hate everything about it. I don't want to do it. But he wanted me to do it. I had to make the character. It's a very difficult character to play because you have to make her. The arc of the whole second act is these two people falling in love, and you have to root for them falling in love. This Jew and this anti-Polish woman. And if you don't get the audience with that, then you
Right.
just forget about it. There's nothing to the show. So at first, like, really trying to connect with what is hatred, what is behind hatred, how do you play hatred, where do you source that from? Coming from a very PC state like Iowa, being raised being raised in a community that and world now that is so PC, unbelievably PC, so anti-bullying, anti-everything, and then we see, funny enough, like all these angry conflicts rearing their heads, you know. So it was very surprising to see that all the events that have happened while the play has been running, you know, and not surprising at the same time, because many people don't have a place to process. It's just there's a lot of anti-Semitism still that lingers on, but it physically made me ill. I just was sick.
Which just shows what a trooper you are, that you were able to draw on your acting skills and your own life in order to make it work. And Phil, you've certainly had a hand in taking this incredible piece. And what a publicist is more than just somebody who tells people, hey, there's a play, come in and buy tickets. What do you do? How do you make the magic?
Well, a large part of my job is to alert the media who spread the word cooperatively with me, to let people know, this is a great show, to bring in reviewers, to get it talked about, to get it written about. Our playwright, Tana's husband, Henry Jaglom, is famous as a filmmaker. He has, I believe, directed 18 films, I believe it is. 18, 19. I think. 19
Wow.
now.
Maybe 20 by the end of this interview. You never know.
Possibly.
Well, he's looking to making this as a
That's
film.
well,
hey, we get a scoop
20.
right here. Look at that. How is social media changing your job? Like, to get the word out about the play?
It's making it easier.
Right.
I think Facebook and Twitter, particularly, just because I've built up a lot of followers.
There you go.
So,
Right. Well, this show has a lot of followers, a lot of photos. You guys are pretty active.
Yeah, one tries, and also the rise of electronic media and the decline of print media.
Well, that's, it used to be the joke that this is, if you get, the LA Times or one big paper, they can make or break you with a review. It doesn't seem like that's the case anymore,
The
right?
Times is still important, but not as, I think the electronic magazines have stolen some of their thunder.
Good.
There are important ones like Stage Raw and Bitter Lemons.
Yes.
In particular, I think are probably the most important. There are a few others that cover theater well, reviewplays.com, Life in LA. And fortunately, being in Santa Monica, we have some wonderful local papers that pay attention to the arts. I mean, Santa Monica is unique in that it is a very artsy location, but the Santa Monica Mirror and the Santa Monica Observer and Beachhead.
Santa Monica Daily Press. is
Santa
Santa
really
Monica
great.
Monica on
Press, yeah.
stage.
Santa
Yeah.
Monica on stage, yes.
Yes.
Really,
Us. Us,
which
yes,
is
us.
us, and it's really it was wonderful having both of you here, and just especially to have Phil here and to have Tana, who we're going to see perform in a minute. So stay tuned, because we can't let Tana go away without joining us for a special performance.
Oh, yes.
Here to perform from Train to Zakopane, please welcome back Tana Frederick.
What? Hatred? I don't have any hatred. I just don't like certain behaviors, certain attitudes. Pushiness, corruption, those Jewish traits. My father owned a business. It was a small business, but a successful business. And you wouldn't believe all of the class barriers, all the social barriers, all the financial barriers he had to overcome, saving up all of his zlotys until he could own a small business of his own, one where he made agricultural parts for the farm. Being an excellent metal machinist, many of them he made himself, he tried to turn his skill into something that would sustain our family, that would have a place in it for my two brothers when they became of age. And no one believed in him, except this old Jew in Krakow who saw something in my father and helped to invest in his business. But he wasn't just a Jew, he was one of those crazy, ultra religious Jews with the curls and the black cape and the big black hat that he used to wear even in the summer when it was hot. For 2 years, everything was going really, really well until one day, this old Jew, the same man that used to bring me sweets and play with my two little brothers, came with a piece of paper saying my father owed him thousands of zlotys that he had invested in my father's business. A business, I repeat, my father built. From nothing, from the ground up, with his hands and his sweat. He might have loaned him a few zlotys from time to time, but nothing totaling the amount he was now claiming he was owed. And he took my father to court. My father couldn't even afford a lawyer to speak for him. So he lost his store. He lost his livelihood. He lost his faith in life. He lost his faith in himself, and he shot himself that night. I never saw him again. The only thing that he left me is this ring that he used to wear it on his little finger. It's the only thing that he left me, this ring that he made himself. Well, that and my hatred for the Jews.
To be or not to be? To thine own self be true. Get thee to a nunnery. These are just a few great lines that have been uttered countless times on stages around the world the last few centuries. Colonials, an American Shakespeare company, they're keeping the Bard's works alive. Here to tell us more is Artistic Director Tony Cronin. Tony, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Hi.
Oh, we're glad to see you. All right, so why Shakespeare? Why for you? What is it?
Well, it's just the greatest theater written in the English language, certainly, if not in all languages.
That's a bold statement there, sir.
Well, I think it's been proven time and again because people keep doing it.
What is it that attracted you to Shakespeare?
I think there's something in the stories that are so profoundly deep, they sort of hit you at the core. And if you like theater, there's something about the complexity of the writing that either draws you or it doesn't. Some people it doesn't touch at all. It's like musicals. Some people love musicals. Some people do not. Right?
Where did Shakespeare get his stories from?
He got them from any place he could take them. It's funny. People, editors have researched where these stories come from. They have detailed, sources from here, like the Holinshed Chronicles or all this stuff. And so he seems to have found stories he found interesting and then basically did his own twist on them. So you can't really tell where, he doesn't have one source. There's very few original stories. For example, The Tempest is the one story there really is no
origin, right?
Yeah, except for they think there may be, like there was a guy who wrote a book about shipwreck.
Okay.
And he ended up in Bermuda, and he ended up getting rescued, and he published a story in 1609, I think, about the shipwreck. And Shakespeare then comes up with The Tempest, and you're like,
How odd. That was his last play, or one of his last plays?
It was one of his last plays,
Right.
and it's the first play in the folio.
Oh,
Interestingly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit. You guys are known for doing more intimate. You don't do big sets. You don't throw it in a different time period. That's what makes Colonial special. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So a lot of Shakespeare companies feel they have to theatricalize plays, and then there's a certain field of thought that is the plays themselves are enough. So we just try to use the plays, which are the words in the play, and therefore what we really try to deal with is creating the sound of those words. That's really what we focus on. The other stuff, once in a while it can help, it's nice, but it's very expensive, and it usually takes away from the production. And so that's what we focus on, the words and the sound of the words. That's what we try to.
That's wonderful. I had a teacher at UCLA. I was studying Old English and Middle English, and he said he had seen a production once of Shakespeare done with the words pronounced the way they would have been pronounced in Shakespeare's time, and it was one of the bawdiest things that he'd ever seen, and the whole audience was rolling the whole time because the sounds of the words themselves gave that fean.
Yes, and the sound, there's a great example of this in Romeo and Juliet. We all know that Juliet says, "Come, night, thou black-browed knight," right?
Yes.
So we hear the word night. Now, how do you spell night? N-I-G-H-T or K-N-I, right? So it could be both, right?
Right.
And when she's talking about Romeo coming, Romeo being a man, he could be a knight, as in a K-N-I, right? So there's always these double meanings to sounds that we don't consciously pick up, but we unconsciously do.
Wow. Okay, so Evelyn just brought up she studied Shakespeare, okay? You are a Shakespeare genius, okay? I'm throwing around that too. So I want to play a little game.
Oh, no.
I got one of two games. No, this one's an easy one. It's like a tell me truth or not truth. Yeah. Okay, so here's it's called Shakespeare Trivia, all right? Okay, so all the parts were men, no women? We're in Shakespeare's time?
The actors were
The actors.
Yeah, there are a lot of women's parts.
So let's
but
talk
played by
about
men.
Juliet. Who was playing Juliet then?
a boy. They had teenage boys who were
Okay.
the apprentices who played the women's parts.
Wow. Did they get laughs? Was it like played up for the humor, or was it just that was accepted?
I don't think it was. It was accepted.
Women
And-
weren't allowed to
Yeah.
to perform.
And
Really?
That's why
yeah,
it was all men.
the Globe in England
Yes.
does the productions completely traditionally to this day. And Mark Rylance just did a production where he played Olivia in Twelfth Night,
Right.
and no one laughed at Mark, except for Where You're Supposed to.
Where you're supposed
Where
to.
you're supposed
right.
to, and
Yeah.
constantly
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
So you brought up the Globe. So tell me, the seating at the Globe has given us such words as
The Groundlings,
the Groundlings.
which is a famous comedy school here
Right.
in LA.
That's where it comes from.
Right. Okay. And
that's
the
where
idea-
people stood up.
That, so you would stand closest. So where were the best seats at the Globe? Where would you pay the most to go?
You would sit under the roof in the back. We forget there was no electricity, so they had to have a roofless theater to get
Right.
light in during, and they played in the afternoon. So
Wow.
part of it was built almost like an arena, and the tiers in the back were covered from the rain and the dirt.
So you.
So that the wealthier people would sit in the back. where
And
they
if you
could
were a
sit.
groundling, like we are when we go to the Globe now, we try to get in on the very front so that we can lean on the stage.
Yeah.
for the
You would
3.5
think that's now
hours.
that's the best
Not
seats. You
have
want
to-
front row, but those were the
Yeah.
cheap
Those
seats.
would have
Yeah.
to stand up
Okay.
for 3 or 4 hours.
All right, Evelyn, you brought this up, right? You guys were talking about this. No lights, no sound effects. So where are you getting this? How do we know in Shakespeare's text? What does he do for us?
As far as the change
Well,
of scenes,
It's in the words. Everything's
Yes.
in the words.
the language and the blank verse is a technology of sorts. So it's all in the writing.
Right.
And it basically, the sound begins and the sound ends at the end of the play. And that's the thing that keeps it together.
Okay. And he invented words, or was the first one? How many words did he invent, or was the first one to use that we can trace back to?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Like that.
I mean, they're just hundreds, if not thousands of words. Apparently his lexicon is like twice as big as Faulkner's, which is pretty big. Wow. But these guys, that was what they did. There was their main art form was language and words. I mean, they would write sonnets for the nobility, and they would go in the afternoon and have tea, and they would read sonnets. This was like a big form of entertainment. So,
There wasn't anything, there were no
Yeah.
TV or video games or anything like
yeah,
that.
yeah, that's right.
I wanted to say, before I forget, you perform at the Miles, right?
Yes, the Miles Playhouse here in Santa Monica, which is a historical playhouse on the corner of Lincoln and Wilshire.
A beautiful playhouse, and it's wonderful to work in, I think.
Yes, it is.
think
It's a
for-
beautiful theater. It's got interesting architecture. It's got these big beams. So it fits very well for us because it's very sort of old school.
Yeah, it almost feels like
Blackfriars, yeah.
that.
But it's a beautiful space. It's very convenient and it's clean and it's well.
But it seems
is.
like the
Yeah.
space lends itself towards Shakespeare. I mean, it just has that feel, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's perfect for us because
Yeah.
we tend to bring everything out.
Yeah.
But the wood beams and the size of it and the
Now, you guys
openness.
do an interesting education called Shakespeare Saturdays. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have classes on the weekends, and we visit schools during the week too sometimes, and we try to get young people interested in Shakespeare, which doesn't take much because as soon as they hear it, they just are like, they get
Wow.
it. We did a performance of King Lear for a middle school, had 100+ kids, and you'd think they get bored. They were howling at Edgar in Act
Really?
4, yes. And so they stayed right with the whole thing. It was great.
Okay, so we're almost out of time, but I've got to try one more little game with you two. This is
Okay.
competition now, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to give you a quote, a Shakespeare quote. You tell me what play it's from, whoever says it first, and then if you can name who said it, you get bonus points. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Do it.
As you like it, Jaques.
Look at Jay Quees. See, I couldn't even pronounce it right. That's me. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them.
12th night.
12th, jeez.
Malvolio.
Oh, now is the winter of our discontent.
Richard III.
Ooh.
That's Richard.
Wow, and if you prick us, do we not bleed?
That is Merchant of Venice, Shylock.
Wow. You guys, look, you can do speed rounds of this. Tony, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah?
Great.
All right, stick around because we have a special performance from Colonials coming up next.
These are the forgeries of jealousy. And never since the middle summer spring met we on hill, in dale, forest, or mead, by paved fountain or by rushy brook, or in the beached margin of the sea to dance our ringlets to the whistling wind. But with thy brawls thou hast disturbed our sport. Therefore the wind, piping to us in vain as in revenge, have sucked up from the sea contagious fogs, which falling in the land have every pelting river made so proud that they have overborne their continents. The ox hath therefore stretched his yoke in vain, the plowman lost his sweat, and the green corn hath rotted ere his youth attained a beard. The fold stands empty in the drowned field, and crows are fatted with the Merian flock. The nine men's morris is filled up with mud, and the quaint mazes in the wanton green for lack of tread are undistinguishable.
I have had a most rare vision. I have had a dream past the wit of man to say what dream it was. Man is but an ass if he go about to expound this dream. Methought I was. There is no man can tell what. Methought I was, and methought I had. But man is but a patched fool if he will offer to say what methought I had. The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen, man's hand is not able to taste, his tongue to conceive, nor his heart to report what my dream was. I will get Peter Quince to write a ballad of this dream, and it shall be called Bottom's Dream, because it hath no bottom. And I will sing it at the latter end of the play before the Duke. Peradventure, to make it the more gracious, I shall sing it at her death.
Wow, another wonderful, wonderful host of great performances and fascinating theater companies.
Yeah, quite a lot when you say, Evelyn. So we had such a good time. That performance from Train to Zakatane, wasn't that
Just
heartbreaking, right?
heartbreaking.
So, of course, we had to laugh afterwards because I was very serious. And our guest, Tana, she had a nickname she told us about it. Growing up, she was known as Tana Banana. And what did we find out about you?
My nickname in grammar school was Evelyn Rudy Cootie.
Oh,
Rudy I hated it.
No,
Now I think it's funny.
Rudy
I didn't
Cootie.
like it then.
So also, we saw some Shakespeare today.
We did see some Shakespeare. You know, I heard a story the other day that I'd never known before that said if the first performance that you ever do as an actor, you get killed, that is good luck for you for the rest of your career. And the very first play I did was the Scottish play, the M play.
We don't say it.
And I played Macduff's son, and I got stabbed to death. And one of my little friends who had seen the show, I was 3 at the time, ran up onto the stage. They've killed Evelyn! They've killed Evelyn!
Nice.
But I got killed.
There
so
you go. And that was the first. That was
the
it.
very
That was
first
your
piece
beginning.
I ever did.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go from that to this. How impressive is that? Wow.
Wasn't it great to see Phil?
Oh, man.
The
So
father
wonderful.
of Santa Monica on stage.
Yeah, how nice of him. We loved having him back. It was great to see him. And he's a publicist by nature, so it's great to see everything he's done for Santa Monica Theater.
That's great. And Tony is always such a wonderful Shakespearean proponent.
Yeah, and you held your own in the competition with Tony. I was
got
impressed.
one.
She's one. She knew more than one. Okay, she just was a little bit slower.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that wraps things up on another episode of Santa Monica on Stage.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing you next time as we introduce you to more local artists that make Santa Monica an incredible arts destination.